Good morning, St John's. It is Monday morning. It's Mr. Boar. We're outside. It must be time for our collective worship. And we're going to be talking about another one of our school values. And today, it is another one of our learning values. Now, we live in a world that sometimes says that winning is the most important thing of all. Don't believe me? Here's some examples. I wonder if you've ever watched X Factor or Britain's Got Talent or my personal favourite, Strictly Come Dancing. It seems like everyone is having fun. But then at the end of each episode, someone has to be voted off. They leave, they lose, and eventually we end up with the winner. Now the winner is full of smiles and laughs and joy, but everyone else who didn't win is often sad and filled with tears and disappointment. I noticed this when I took Monty for his dog training earlier today. And I found out that there's a little bit of me that just wants Monty to be better than any other dog. Now, it's good that I want him to do well, but sometimes that means that I want the other dogs to not do as well. In other words, I'm not being a good team player. Now, in the animal world, there are some really good examples of what being a team player can achieve. Did you know that when geese have to fly a long way, they fly in an arrow formation? That means that the bird at the front is doing all the hard work and the others are just following and having a rest. They take it in turns to make sure everybody can get to where they need to be. Now, what would happen if one of those geese decided, I'm going to stay at the front the whole time so that I can get there first? Well, eventually, they would get tired and no one would get to where they needed. Or what about the small ant? Ants are amazing creatures when they work as a team. They can lift hundreds of times their own weight by working together. And there are even some ants that can make themselves into a boat to cross the river. But what if one of those ants decided, I don't want to get wet today, I'm going to stay at the top? Well, then the boat would not get across. And what about the penguins down at the South Pole? There are some penguins who, when the blizzards get really fierce, huddle together in a group so that it's warmer in the middle. What if one of the penguins said, I want to stay in the middle the whole time. I'm not going to take my turn on the outside. Someone would get really cold. So how can we follow the example of those animals and not the example of Mr. Boar at Monty's training class? Well, I think there are two ways we can try and do this in our class. Number one is be happy for other people when they do well. The Bible has got a saying which is outdo one another in showing honour. That means you should celebrate other people the best you can. Let's try a little test. Imagine that you and your friend have done some really good artwork. And in celebration assembly, it's your friend who gets celebrated and not you. Do you feel angry or cross or disappointed that it's not you? Or do you celebrate because someone in your team has done really well? And secondly, let's be like the ants and the geese and the penguins who have a goal that they want to achieve, not just as one, but as a team. I wonder what you would like your class to look like by the end of the year. Or what you want your year group to look like by the end of the year. Or even what we want St John's to be like by the end of the year. Instead of trying to compete against each other to be the best, why not be brilliant team players and try to achieve those goals together? I would love you to have a think in your classes now, before the end of our collective worship, about what you would like to achieve. I know that in Badger class, we are really pleased to have won the non-school uniform for a couple of weeks, but we've really got our eye on that Busters book club. So we're going to work as a team to achieve that goal together. I wonder, what is your team ambition, Zebra class? What is your team ambition, Squirrel class? What is your team ambition, Safari class? And everybody else as well. Let's have a year in St John's where we are celebrating everything that we achieve as a team and not just try to be the very best by ourselves. I'm really looking forward to hearing about what our ambitions are this year and how we're going to achieve them to make this the best year yet. See you later, St John's.
Who can stop singing?